Welcome back to the Flow Friday Night Sports Show, and we're taking a look now at the Great Flinders Netball Association, which had a very interesting round on the weekend. Elizabeth Burns joins me to go through all the action. How are you, Elizabeth?
Very well, thank you. Very well for this end of the season.
That's good. It's getting to the pointy end, almost getting to the off-season, which I'm sure a lot of the parents and the people behind the scenes, such as yourself, are very, very happy about.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to reclaiming some weekends, but I think there's going to be a fair bit of action in the last 3 games of the season and then our finals run. So, yes, looking forward to all the action, but definitely looking forward to a Saturday off.
Yeah, got no doubts about that. And we'll get into the action from the weekend. And the big one was the Ramblers and Cummins Kapinnie playing out a 37-all draw, which probably knocks Cummins Kapinnie out of finals contention.
Do you know, they were hanging in there. It was only really percentage dividing those two teams. The last couple of times they met, Ramblers had a 44-30 goal win over Cougars and then a similar margin in just the third game of the round. So I think Ramblers probably came in feeling confident, but the Cougars girls have really hit their straps. Unfortunately, they're missing their playing coach, Jessica Green, who's been nursing a bit of a sore knee. So I think this may have been the difference in the game. And they've also brought some tall timber up from the team below in BJ Moroney, and she's been adding a bit of height in the goals for the last few games. So it was a very tight defensive game. There was only 1 or 2 goals in it at every break. And then that last quarter, it was goal for goal until that final whistle blew.
We also had Tumby Bay taking down United Yolana pretty comfortably, 57-21. No surprises here, as it was the top team versus the bottom team who are still chasing their first win.
Yes, that's right. I think the game unfolded fairly much as it was expected to. Ilka Stone was back in for Tumby. She missed the previous week's game. And Taylor Milligan, who's been off injured, she came back and played a half. Yolanda had Hallie Paul back, and unfortunately their other young goalie, Abby Cash, came off injured in the third quarter, which saw Sarah Dyer move back into goals. But Tumby were up by 35 goals at that final break, and so they actually made an interesting move. They popped their tall defender, Summer Cave, back into goals for that final quarter, and even though it was probably the closest, goal scoring for both teams in that final quarter, Tumby still comfortably took that game out 57-21.
All right, good big win there by Tumby. And in our last game of the weekend, it was another cracker. Elliston Districts over Lock, 46-34. And with that win, Elliston leapfrog Lock on the ladder, jumped back into second place, relegating Lock to third.
Yes, this was always going to be match of the day. They've had a really tight tussle every time they've met, and they are sitting comfortably between them on second and third, sort of heading towards finals. I think Lock came in with quite a bit of confidence after their win over the top-placed ladder leader Tumby on the previous week. And looking at their score sheet, they only made one change for the entire game, with Courtney Hull moving out of goals and swapping with Jordan Sladden in wing attack. But Elliston have taken advantage of a rule that we have in our association, which enables players from other associations to fill in. And, traditionally this has been kids that are away at uni or boarding school, and they've qualified. But with the change of associations on Eyre Peninsula, we've all got buys throughout the season, and so the rule in our association is that a fill-in player from a neighbouring association has to play one more game than what they have buys. And so, yes, I think Elliston Districts have taken advantage of that and had Michelle Willis and Rani Tomney, who are sort of tall, very accurate goalies. And Michelle did play on the weekend. Using another player from an association can be a great asset, like a great advantage, and maybe boost the team where it is a little bit weaker. But then on the other hand, it can also be, apart from being controversial, it can also mean that that player hasn't gelled with the girls that have been training and playing together all year. So, yes, some very interesting politics and moves by those coaches. And yeah, we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out come finals.
All right, some weird rules at play. I love a weird rule in sports, but very, very interesting things going on there. We'll take a very quick look at round 15 because we're almost out of time and we've got Kristy waiting to give us the Eastern Eyre update. So we'll just quickly run through these tips. Lock taking on Eyre United should be an easy win for Lock.
I think Lock should look comfortable. They've got the home ground advantage. They'll be looking to claw back, some of their confidence from last week. So I'm probably tipping Lock this week.
And it's probably looking like the same in our other two games. Pretty easy tips. Elliston Districts over United, Yolana?
Yeah, I think that should be a fairly straightforward game. Yolana are really trying to get some runs on the board, but just not quite there. And I think Elliston are too strong. And the same for Tumby versus Ramblers. I think if Ramblers play their best netball and really take it up to Tumby, it should be a good game. But Tumby, they're hard to beat. They have an aggressive style of netball when they're under pressure, and I think they really are successful in getting into the opposition's heads.
All right, there we go. There's your tips for round 15. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. We'll chat to you next week.
No worries. Looking forward to it.
And we go straight over to Eastern Eyre Netball now. And like I said, Kristy is waiting on the line for us. Kristy Turnbull, how are you? Thank you for joining me again.
Good morning, Dan. I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. It's been a busy week, but it's good to be talking netball on the Friday night sports show. And it was a big week in the Eastern Eyre Netball Association. And we'll start out with the sort of top-of-the-table clash that we thought was going to be a nice close game, and it wasn't. It was Central Eyre United over Kimber, 58-32, a lot bigger margin than we were expecting.
Yeah, definitely. Probably one of the biggest upsets we've seen this year, I think, Dan, in that game. I called it last week. I thought there'd be maybe, a 3-goal in this one. But, 26 goals is a big win to Central Eyre United, allowing them to steal that top spot on the ladder from Kimber. So congratulations to them. From all accounts, I wasn't up at that game, but it sounds like it was a very well-contested game. And the scoreboard didn't reflect the intensity of the game. It was just that CEU could capitalise a little bit more and make the most of those turnovers than Kimber. So, big upset. CEU will be happy with that. They go in to have the rest this week, so they would have left everything on the court out there, I think, last week to get that big win.
It was Kimber by 18 goals in round 2, Central Eyre by 11 goals in round 7, and this time Central Eyre United by 26 goals. So it's been a bit of a weird series between those two teams throughout the season, and I've got very little doubt that we'll see them face off in a final at some point. So that will be an interesting little rivalry to keep track of as we enter the last few weeks of the season. We'll come back to that in a moment, but we'll just quickly look at our other game, which was Eastern Rangers with a pretty easy win over Ports, 61-30.
The Rangers girls have been playing fabulous netball coming into this end of the season. They're really gelling well as a team. We know Port's a bit of a struggle this year. They haven't managed to get a win on the board yet. They played hard. 30 goals against that Rangers team's not too bad of a feat for the Ports girls who were depleted last week as well. But Rangers, they just couldn't do anything wrong. They had young Ava Jenner in defence just picking off balls left, right and centre. She had an absolute blinder of a game. And down the other end, they had Nicole Symes in goals. And look, I would think that she's shot at about 98% last week. She couldn't miss. They played a brilliant game. The Ports girls just couldn't quite match it. But yeah, it was still a good game to watch, but full credit to Rangers who have now slipped into second spot for the first time this season with that good win.
Yeah, so let's take a look at the ladder because there was a bit of fallout from the Central Eyre and Kimber results. So Central Eyre top on 8-2, Eastern Rangers second at 7-3, and Kimber third at 7-2. Kimber and Eastern Rangers both on 7 wins. Kimber with the better percentage, but Kimber 1 point behind Eastern Rangers on the ladder. So what's the story there? Why are they missing a point?
We've got some fairly, I suppose you could call them strict rules in place as an association. And unfortunately, Kimber had a bit of an infringement of one of their scorecards that saw them lose that one premiership point. So it's definitely hurt Kimber coming into this end of the season. They were very strong contenders for that top spot, and I believe they still are. But certainly with only 2 games to go, or 3 games to go, having lost that 1 point has left the door wide open for Rangers to steal that second spot, which they've done.
So a really tight tussle between those top three teams on the ladder, and Central Eyre United are just peaking at the absolute right time. They had that massive win last week and they are now on top of the ladder. As we look to the round 13 action, that infringement against Kimber might not matter because they are playing Eastern Rangers this week with second spot on the line.
Look, I think it's going to be a good game. Rangers will be feeling really confident. They're coming off some really solid wins since our break early in July, and they're playing, like I said, they're playing great netball. They're making other teams really work to convert. Kimber will be feeling a little bit sore after their big loss last week and slipping down to that third spot. I've had them pegged for a, one or two spot all year, and I think they can get it back. I think Kimber will have I shouldn't say a fairly good win. Kimber will probably get the win over Rangers in a very good game, but Rangers won't let them have it easily.
Yeah, really interested to see how that game plays out and the effect it has on the ladder. And in our other game, it's Ports taking on Cowell. And Ports I think they've got the bye in the last game of the year, and they've got a tough game next week as well against Kimber. So for Ports, who are 0-10 on the season, this might be their best chance to steal a win and avoid going through the season winless.
Yeah, look, definitely hoping that Ports can steal the win. We know the first game that these two teams met, there was a goal, went Cow's way. The last time I think it was about 11, but the Ports girls, for the first time in a very long time this season, they're coming in with their full 9. They're coming in with a strong team. They've had some solid trainings, and they really do. They want to change that. They want to get one win on the board for the season. It's also for Ports, it's Beck Harkness's last game. She's unavailable for our clash against Kimber next week, and she's actually going to retire at the end of this season. So the girls will want to do it for Beck. She's been a solid part of our netball teams over the years. She's a brilliant defender and puts her body on the line week in and week out. So I think the Ports girls are going to give it everything they've got against Cow this week, purely to hopefully see Beck out in style. In saying that, Cow have got Ellie Burton, returning back into their team for this end of the season after having some time off with a baby. She's a beautiful netballer, Ellie is. She's very solid. She's got a great experience, and that will really help that Cow team. So Mickey Sevier for Cow and Beck Harkey will have a good tussle in the goal ring, and Cow want Mickey to be really on with her accuracy and on top of Beck in that game tomorrow to make it a good game. But look, my heart says I think Ports will get the win. I'd love to see Ports get the win. But hopefully it's just a great game of netball.
Not playing favourites at all, but hopefully Ports do get the win because we don't want to see anyone go through a season winless, and we'd certainly like them to get the win ahead of that big retirement. So good luck to all teams playing this weekend. Should be a good round of netball, and you enjoy the netball this weekend, Kristy, and we'll catch up again next week.
Yeah, look forward to it, Dan. Thank you.